Okay, I'll get on to the questions that I prepared last night. I want to talk just briefly about the maintenance part of this. And let me preface this by saying that I was a mayor at one time, and I had to manage fleets, and we used the best practices. We made sure that we were buying so many police vehicles every year, so many maintenance vehicles every year, so that we weren't hit with this kind of situation, and I understand that. But we also found that sometimes it was better for us to go to the private sector to have maintenance and repairs done on our vehicles. How do you handle repairs and maintenance on your vehicles?
Yes, of the $700 million a year for our long life vehicles maintenance costs, about $200 million of that is spent in private industry for parts and service, and the remainder of that is done internally by our folks.
So you do utilize some private sector facilities?
Yes, we do.
How many maintenance facilities does the post office operate?
I'm afraid I can't give you that number. I believe it's in the neighborhood of 500 across the country.
That's close enough to what I've got. How many employees do you have in those facilities?
I'm sorry, I also don't have that information.
Okay, can you get that for me?
Glad
Make
to give
sure.
it to you.
Okay, I appreciate that. Do you ever put RFPs out to see if the private sector can do the maintenance for you?
Yeah, we look at this very carefully, and the one area of our business where it's fully competitive, really, with the private sector is the wages paid for mechanics. Mechanics are paid quite a high wage in the private sector, and so on balance, we're actually, assuming all other things equal, we're better using internal labor in a lot of cases rather.
Okay, so are you saying that the laborers in the post office that are employed by the post office are not paid comparable wages?
What I'm saying is, and again, it does vary by market, and that's why we spend some on the outside, some on the inside, but we actually have found that in a number of cases when we evaluate whether we should outsource versus continue to use our union labor, that the union wages that we pay are consistent with, or in a lot of cases, competitive.
The $700 million that you give us as a figures, does that include labor cost?
Yes, that's all labor, parts, both internal and external, for the maintenance of the long.
And it includes employee benefits and everything else?
Correct.
Obviously, because you haven't bought any new vehicles lately, you're having an increase in the amount that you're having to spend on maintenance, and that is understandable because you haven't used best practices to buy vehicles and to try to keep your fleet up to date. Do you have any idea how much per vehicle you're spending now?
Yes, I think in 2014, we spent an average of about $4,200 per vehicle for the long live vehicles in maintenance, which is way too high.
As you've been going through this process of trying to get your financial affairs in order, have you looked at possibly doing away with your maintenance facilities and going to the private sector, how much that might save you and how much it might work more efficiently?
Again, on a market-by-market basis, we have looked at this, and it's relatively neutral as to where you will save money versus pay more, and it's, again, market-by-market.
So you have looked at this, so you've got facts and figures. Can you provide those to us? Do you mind doing that?
Sure, I'd be happy to provide that information.
Okay, well, that's essentially all I had on that line of questions, but again,